Eu até dividi ali para durar um ano.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, wow, it's loud. I hope everyone is listening to me online as well as you are here. All these meetings in English are being transmitted online too. So hopefully there are some people watching us, even if it's not now, if it's in the future. So tonight we restart our year in terms of English meetings, and we're gonna keep following what we've been doing for the past, I don't know how many years now, studying the gospel according to Spiritism in sequence. Now we're doing item by item, and we are right now on chapter number 8. But usually before that, we have a reading and a brief comment of a message from the book Our Daily Bread. Tonight, Nancy will be here in a few minutes to talk to us. And after that, we will have, I'm going to be here talking a little bit about the topic of the gospel tonight. But to start, if you want to, you can close our eyes. I'm going to close my eyes so that we can raise a little prayer to our Creator, to God, to our Master Jesus, to thank them for once again the opportunity of being here tonight, of being at this little spot of light where we gather together as a small family that we are, bringing hearts together so that we can rejoice under the light of the message of love, of compassion, of understanding. And we would like to ask them, the good spirits, to ask Jesus, and above all, to ask God to bless us tonight so that we can, while listening to these messages, be closer to them, so that we can feel the touch of their love in our hearts, for us to, on our day-to-day, on our daily tasks, be able to perform, to do what we learn, so that we can take out through our hands, our actions, this message, as we said before, of compassion and of love. So God bless us all, not only now, but always and forever. So be it. So, as I said before, we're going to invite Nancy, as she's probably called at her work, to talk to us, chapter 124 of the book Our Daily Bread. And I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay. Mariana. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, the message. Oh, sorry. Tonight, I'm going to read the message from Our Daily Bread, from Francisco Cândido Xavier, through the Spirit Emmanuel. And the chapter is 124, and the title is Not Lacking. If I send them home hungry, they will collapse on the way, because some of them have come a long distance. This is who said is Jesus. It is in Mark chapter 8, verse 3. The preoccupation that Jesus had for the multitudes continues alive through time. How many religious faiths palpitate in the hearts of the nations, influenced by the providential love of the Divine Master. There may be some perverse, desperate men who persevere in evil and in denial, but a community cannot be seen without the help of faith. Even the savages receive positions of assistance from the Father, naturally according to their rustic, primitive interpretations. Food from heaven is not lacking to the individuals. If some spirits declare their incredulity of God's paternal love, it's because they are either incapable or ill, due to internal ruins to which they submitted. Jesus manifests his untiring preoccupation in nurturing the souls of his prodigies in 1,000 different ways, from the huts of the natives to the cathedrals of the great metropolis. In those positions of sublime assistance, the individuals learn with their gradual effort to nourish themselves spiritually, until bringing the church into their home and transporting it from the domestic sanctuary into their own heart. Few people meditate over the importance of the infinite mercy of this edificating mass of religious ideas in the world. The Master is inclined toward the good of all men. Filled with love and abnegation, he knows how to nourish with specific resources the ignorant and the wise, the believer and the questioner, the rebel and the unfortunate one. Better than anyone else, Jesus understands that any other way the individuals would fall exhausted through the immense cliffs that border on the evolutionary path. I took some notes about some comments, and on the paragraph number 4, it says, there may be some perverse, desperate men who persevere in evil. So sometimes we are on the wrong way. We are not so good that we could be. And we understand that is just for a while. Sometimes it could take the whole incarnation. And but in another hand, we know that God takes care of every single soul, even for those people that they are on a bad path. They're not being good as they could be. So it means that nobody will be abandoned. Jesus and God will take care of them also. And on the next paragraph number, I put some numbers to make it easier for me, but just Mariana can see it. It's a paragraph 4C. It says, if some spirits declare their incredulity of God's paternal love, it's because they are either incapable or ill. So, like I said before, God takes care of every single one. And but there is some people, they don't believe in spiritual things. They just believe on things that they can see or they can touch, just like material things. But Emmanuel said, when people is thinking this way, it's because they are ill inside due to internal problems. And these problems, we know we put ourselves in this way. We can change, right? We can focus more on spiritual things than material things. And on the paragraph number 5, it's interesting because it mentions that Jesus is ready to help every single person, regardless if you go to huts of the Indians. The Indian hut is the house, Indian's house, like very primitive, made with wood or whatever, in the middle of the forest or whatever. So Jesus will be there. If you go to a very fancy cathedral in the great metropolis, with the ceiling with gold and paintings and everything, or if you go to a little one, made with wood, very simple, God will be there regardless the place. So Jesus, they are saying here that Jesus is ready to help every single soul in 1,000 different ways. We have to understand that we have different levels. Some people is here, some people is here. Jesus is there to help every single one. On the paragraph number 6, this one I really like it because it says how the process works, right? So they say we have first thing we have to do is understand God, start to believe in it, see the nature, see the things, try to feel God. Then we have to make some effort. It's a gradual. It's not like you don't jump from this point to this point. We always say this in Portuguese here. Chris usually say this sentence. We have to do it step by step, and make an effort to nourish ourselves spiritually. For example, learning to pray, I think, is the first step. When we learn to pray, we have an intimate moment with Jesus. When you go to your room, quiet, and you put your mind, in higher level and start to talk with Him. So prayer could be the first one. Then he said, we go to the church, but we have to bring the church to our home. And we do this because we do gospel at home. It's a way, of course there is other ways, but this one is a way to bring the church to our home. Then another step is transporting that feeling, that prayer, that church you brought to your home, then you bring it to your heart. So he puts here as the steps that we have to be patient with ourselves and gradual make an effort and get there. And the last one, it says, filled with love and abnegation, he knows how to nourish with specific resources the ignorant and the wise. Like he said before, Jesus is ready to help every single one. If the person is ignorant, they will be there. If the person is wise, Jesus will be there. the believer and the questioner, the rebel and the unfortunate one. So every single one. And to finish, I took sentence from the Bible. It is on John chapter 10, verse 9. It says, "The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep." That's so beautiful. Nobody will be abandoned, nobody will get lost, and Jesus is there for every single one. Well, thank you very much. And then, Mackenzie.
You did it.
So before I can only control the camera and see what's happening if I'm there at the computer. While I'm here, I can't see anybody that comes in. But I just saw like there's this new friend of ours that probably we will know at some point. He just moved in from New York, and he's living now in Boston. He's living in Brighton, and he contacted us and asked about. He's a spiritist there. His name is Jeffrey, and he just sent a message that he's there live now watching us. So everybody's saying it's good, Jeffrey. And Fabiola Harrington. She used to come here with Leo and her Isa, I think, her daughter. She was watching too on Facebook. So it's good to see that our friends from are there connected to us. So our heart goes to you who are watching us as well as people that are here. So tonight, as I said in the beginning, we are going to keep following the Gospel according to Spiritism, and I just remember that we have these two versions of the book. And one has Kardec on the cover page, and the other one is just pure, simple green. And there are other translations as well. These two translations are the same from the same editor, Odyssey of America. Probably the same translation too. But the words in that sense, I mean, sometimes it matters, but in these books, they don't astray too much from the real meaning of what they are. And but today we are going to finish chapter number 8 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, and the chapter number 8 is entitled "Blessed are the pure in heart." And we talked a little bit about simplicity before, sinning by thought and adultery, offenses, pureness, and so on. So today or tonight, we're going to talk a little bit, and this is the last message of the chapter, which is entitled "Blessed are those whose eyes are closed." Blessed are those whose eyes are closed. And as I was thinking about this topic, these days, right, everybody knows and everybody hears, everybody tells everybody, hey, you should know more, you should read more, you should see more, you should pay more attention. So my question was, when I read the title again, is why is he saying that the blessed ones are the ones who have their eyes closed instead of their eyes open? That was my question when I read the title, and I kept thinking a little bit about it. And because I already knew what the message was about, and this message touches me, I don't remember when was the first time when I encountered it, and I was probably very young, being raised by a Spiritist family. So I can't remember if the first time I really heard this message, but I remember that there was a point when I reading or listening to this message, it really stuck with me for a few different reasons. I'm probably not gonna enter into that here, um, because my memory would not serve me well remembering everything. But because there's so much to say about this message. But what I found very interesting is that I think it's that when in my child's mind, in my young person's mind, it was really weird at the time to hear or to read him saying, for example, and I'm going to read one small sentence here, then I'm going to go back to the message and explain something else. When he says here, and I have it underlined because I find this to be, he asks, and I'll explain it. Dear soul, so he is talking to someone. Dear soul, why do you not wish, and he is talking, let me explain it first. He is talking to a person that's blind. He is talking to a person that lost her sight. She can't see. Dear soul, why do you not wish to know all the delights of the spirit who lives by love and contemplation? Then you would not ask to see images that are less pure and gentle than those you glimpse through your blindness. The images that you see with your real eyes, with your physical eyes, are less pure and gentle than the ones that you see when you're blind. So he asks her, why would you want to see when you know that? And that image in my mind of a young person, it just like, I wouldn't want to lose my sight. I wouldn't want not to see. But of course, that's not what he is saying. But that contrast of the idea of having sight, being able to see, and then all of a sudden not being able to see anymore, and to give blessings for not seeing, it was so outrageous at the time to me. It was something that was so out of, how can someone think of that? Like to be grateful or to be thankful for being blind. That was my thought. It still is, and I have to be sincere about it, because I have not gone through this, so I don't know firsthand. I have not experienced it. But I have something today that I don't know if I would be able to not have, which is my glasses. Last time, 2 years ago, when I went to my eye doctor, he asked me, and I saw him at this specific doctor. I saw him when I saw him for the first time. I had gone to other doctors, then I changed doctors, so I went to see this guy. So first time I saw him, he was doing the exam, and then he looks at me and he says, did you ever consider doing an eye surgery so that you get rid of your glasses? And I said, yes, I have. He said, what do you think? I said, I'm never going to do it. I love my glasses. It's me. It's not that it's something that's not me. It's not something that I put on. It's me. If I don't have glasses, it's not Mackenzie, as how I see it. So, and I jokingly told him, well, women in general have earrings, do stuff to their hair, and do stuff to their face, put makeup. Men have nothing. So I have my glasses, right? I have my glasses and my beard. So I don't see myself, see, and I don't see myself without my beard as well. And then I could to a certain degree, I can to a certain degree, and of course it's not the same thing, really, not even close. But imagining when I take off my glasses and you keep seeing me and you know that I'm out without my glasses. I mean, I'm still the same person. But if I didn't know, yeah, no, I'm not. I agree. My eyes are bigger. It looks like as if I know that. So when I take off my glasses, if I had not seen Cristiane, I would recognize because she's right here, but she's just a blur. I would have a very hard time if I had not seen you guys to know who you are because I can't really define anything. It's a blur. But sometimes if I want to focus on something and if I really need, although I don't do that much, if I need to do that, I close my eyes. But I can take off my glasses and then I'm just gonna see blurs, and nobody knows that I'm not seeing. Nobody really knows what I am seeing or not, and that's why probably when you have your in your license, at least in Brazil, was like this. It has written there, need corrective lenses, because a driver might not be wearing glasses, and how will the cop know if he needs glasses, if he needs correction or not? So he needs to know if we need. So I have to wear my glasses so that I can recognize everybody. Now, up close, like here, I don't need my glasses, so I can take my glasses and read everything. What I find it's interesting about this is that, of course, there are uses for everything, and there are different situations. For example, if a person was born blind, say I was born and I'm blind, I cannot see from the start. To that person, what is to be blind? Someone will have to explain to her what is to see because she or he doesn't know what it is. So it is part of their normal life. Of course, it's not going to be as quick as everything, but if they lived, everybody that were born were blind, we would find a way to do stuff. Of course, it's much easier to see. And of course, we're talking about being blind, but then we can go to so many other ideas. I mean, being deaf, not being able to feel the touch of some certain things. And of course, we will go, and that's where I find that this message, there's so many levels to this message, and this message has so much inside of it. I decided just to pick one thing and talk about it, because really this message, I underlined a few things, but as I kept reading it, I said, oh, I'm not going to be able to talk about this. I'm not going to be able to talk, because it's a real like eye-opening message. So people say that ignorance, there's a saying that says that ignorance is a blessing. Not knowing something is a blessing. Right? So when you don't know certain stuff is a blessing, and that's where it enters here, this idea of this whole blessed are those whose eyes are closed. Not knowing something, sometimes it's a blessing, but to what degree? And that's why we have to always weigh what's better at certain points and what's not better, or it's worse in other points. Not knowing that a person did something, and then all of a sudden we know, our love changes for that person. Why? Why? It has nothing to do with the other person. It only has something to do with me. With me. With how I expect the others to behave. How I expect the others to do what I want or what they're supposed to do. That's why we're so far away still from really understanding what love really is, for example. And then that's one of the ways that I see why he says that blessed are those whose eyes are closed. Because sometimes when we open our eyes and we know stuff, because we are not ready yet to see those things, we fall. So the big question behind this sentence here is, are we ready to see? That's the path that I wanted to talk tonight. Are we ready to see? There's this nun. I don't know if you know. There's the father, the priest, and then there's the nun. We usually say that's male and female. The nun is the one that goes to the convent and stays there. We usually wears that robe with that big thing over her hair and all that stuff. So that's a nun. There's this nun in Brazil. Her name is we call a sister, Sister Aila. That's her name, Irmã Aila. So what she does a lot of ecumenical or interfaith dialogue. She sits with Spiritists, with Protestants, with Jews, and discusses the Gospels. And they discuss the Gospels, and they find connectivity or connections between them. Instead of separating, they merge together to find what the points are in common, so that we can live a better life together, interconnected. So one day she was asked about reincarnation. And I'm going to use this example just for us to see what's the difference between seeing and not seeing, for us to try to understand what I want to say about knowing or not knowing. And she was asked about reincarnation. What does she think about reincarnation? She didn't want to say, and she, being a nun and being a Catholic, she most likely doesn't believe or doesn't want to study or whatever, however it is. It doesn't really matter. But of course, she knows the idea. She knows what it is. She knows what it's all about. And she is a scholar too. She has a doctorate in studies of the Bible. So she knows a lot of this stuff. She really knows. So she was asked, what do you think about, they were talking about the passage, I think, of Nicodemus, where we discuss in Spiritism about reincarnation and so on. So she is asked about, what do you think about reincarnation? She says something that really stuck in my mind, because she goes to a point that's so important, which is, she says, reincarnation is something that not everyone should start studying and believing in. And I'm going to give you a reason why. Because there are people that are not ready to learn about reincarnation. Why? Because they will understand it incorrectly, and they will have a lot of different ideas about it. And then they will say, oh, if I can be born again, for example, I don't need to do anything now. I will leave it for my next life. Can you imagine? And we have a word for this: procrastination. Leave it for later. So can we say that this is dangerous in a certain way only for people that are not spiritists? Or can we see that happening among people that are spiritists? Everywhere. It doesn't matter because it's not related to the religion. It's related to the individuality. It's related to me. It's related to us. The message is for everybody, but how are we absorbing that message? How are we taking that message and making it ours? What are we doing with that message? So it's not to say that so let's stop talking about reincarnation. No, let's do the best that we can to explain that that's not how it should be used. Like I joke all the time, right? Or joke or tell the story all the time. We have a pen, right? What is this for? Everybody knows what it is for. Everybody knows that we can write with it. What can we write with a pen? Anything. We can write with a pen a book like this that has great messages that can save a lot of lives. And we can write books like Goethe did in 18 whatever, I can't remember when he was born, that caused the death, the suicide of a lot of people of that generation because of the way he wrote and how he wrote that book that he did. Young Werther, that's the name of the book, with the same kind of thing. So it's not the pen that's the problem. It's what we do with the pen. We can write, we can also kill with the pen. But we can also save lives. All right? You take this one out, it's a straw that we can put it here if the person knows what to do. Don't do it. Don't try this at home. But if the person knows and don't have any other way of doing it, don't try this at home, please. But what I'm saying, and I guess you got it, is it's not the thing itself. So if, for example, using reincarnation, should we stop teaching? No, we should do the best we can to explain how it is, how Spiritism or how we believe it is, and telling people it's not for later. It's a chance for us to do now because we already had one before. So maybe we left it for later, last time. So why am I going to do it now again? Make the same mistake? So when he says, blessed are those who have their eyes closed, is in the same vein of what Irmã Aila, Sister Aila, was telling. Is that depending on how you are, who you are, what you have inside, sometimes it's not the right time to know a little bit more. Let's keep it low for a while. Because you may trip and fall. So what he's telling here with this title is not to not know. It's not to not look for. That's not what he's saying. He's saying is be happy with what you have. Strive for more, but don't be ungrateful for what you have. Is be satisfied with what you have, but try for more without being unhappy for not achieving it. Because you don't know what would happen to you if you had what you want to have. A friend of mine once told me, she told me this, and probably you heard this a few times already. She told, be careful what you ask from God, because he may give it to you. And do we really know what we are asking? We never know. Does it mean that we shouldn't ask? No, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't ask. If we want it, we can do whatever we want. But let's really be sure of what we want. I read this week, I was part of a group, and then there's something, someone posted a picture. I can't even remember what the picture was. And then someone made a comment, and he said, "Oh, you just spoiled this whole idea for me of whatever. I thought it was like something great and it wasn't. And then someone made another comment, and someone made this a comment like this. He says, "Oh, it's like those people that get win the lottery, and then they think it's the best thing that ever happened to them, and all of a sudden everything changes in their lives, and then they are worse than what they were when they first got it." And then someone makes another comment and another one, and then he says, "Oh, then yeah, that happens a lot," and so on. And then someone says, "Read this," and then he sends it to another page, and then it's a page of a person who did a study and did a research on what happened to a lot of people that got a lot of money. Then he starts by saying this: "I'm not talking about people that got $1 million or $600,000. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that really got the lottery, like $500 million or 600. It's like really like." And he says this, and these people, some of these people that got this amount of money, they already had a lot of money, because I mean, it's easier to win the lottery if you play a lot of stuff, right? Well, you can play one and win, but it's much easier if you play 1,000, right? So, but for a person to play 1,000, the person has to have a lot of money to buy 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 tickets, right? So that's what he said. He said that some of these people that got $600 million, $500, $300 million, they were already millionaires. So he starts by saying this: it's not they lost everything after a few years, and it's not because they didn't know how to deal with the money, because they were already rich. Yeah. So why? It's because you don't know how to deal with it. You don't know what you're asking. He thought that, oh no, I'm going to give this to someone, and I'm going to give this to someone, and then they will stop asking. He said, nobody ever stops asking, because you're always rich on the minds of a person who's outside. And then they come and steal your car because you can buy another car. And then they come and do this because you can do it again. And then all of a sudden, you just lose control of everything. So at the end, and it's a very big thing, I'm not going to remember everything, but at the very end, he gives some hints on how not to do it. It says, set up this to the side, hire a lawyer right at the moment that you hire. First thing you do, hire a lawyer that know how to deal with money, and then follow his advice. Separate this amount so that you can live life the way you wanted later. Don't start giving money to. So he gives like a lot of tips. But he says, don't ever think that you know what it is, because you don't know what it is. And that's what I want to emphasize here. The other part is a day-to-day, whatever we want to do, we do it. But the idea of receiving anything that we ask for is that are we really ready to receive it? Are we ready to receive it? Sometimes we ask for stuff and then we complain later that we got it. Oh, how I wanted to have kids. There's a point where it's good. Then you spend like a lot of years complaining and asking, why did I decide to have kids? Then it becomes good again. I'm joking, but it's that kind of stuff. You have ups and downs. The big problem, what is the big problem? The big problem is that if we don't have our focus, if we really don't have the focus and really remember why we asked, why I asked for that, why I really want that, I will fall. And when I fall, will I be able to go up again? And that's the big question. So if I'm not ready to receive something, what should I do then? What should I do then? It's up to individually my decision.
Don't blame you. Vice president.
Yeah, so it's I have to decide. And I have to learn how to live with or without that which I am asking. Anything that happens in my life, it's a process of learning. Anything, be it that I lost something, or be it that I won something, be it that I got something, or that I left something behind. It's a process of learning. What he says is, if you, and I'm going to read another part here. He says, um, this message, by the way, let me just do a paragraph that parenthesis here. This message is from a spirit, which he was a priest. He was a priest on a parish of ours, and he wrote this message in 1863. His name was Vianney, and he was someone which at the time when he lived, he was known for curing people, for healing people. People would come to him and he would impose his hands, do the passes, or be able to cure people. And he was famous for that. So he was invoked, he was called to give a message, or not to give a message. He was called to cure a person that was blind, a girl that was blind. She was praying for him to come so that he could make her see again. So this whole message starts, and we know, and at the end, Kardec adds a remark and so on, which I'm not going to be able to go into as well. But he adds a footnote. He says, this communication was given in response to the appeal of a blind person in whose name the spirit J.B. Vianney was evoked. So he was evoked to come because she wanted someone to cure her from her blindness. And at one point, when he says, he starts by saying this, I mean, I'm not the one who cures, I'm not the one who heals. It's God who heals, and if he doesn't want me to do it, there's no way that I can do anything. That's how he starts by saying. But he says something that to me is probably the main point of this whole message, and that's where I'm going to read it, and that's where I'm going to stop, because we could go to other topics here in the message, but this is, I think, one of the main points of this message. He says, in your afflictions, when we are suffering, when we are going through a problem, when we are going through, always lift up your eyes to heaven. I find it very interesting because he uses the metaphors of what's happening. He uses the eyes a lot in this message, which is to say that literarily speaking, I mean, speaking about the way this thing is written, is of a person that really knows how to write. It's not someone that just puts some words together. No, person knows how to write. So he says, in your afflictions, always lift up your eyes to heaven and say it from the bottom of your hearts. We all know what when we want to say from the bottom of my heart, and we hear this in songs, we hear this in love promises, right? Oh, I'm here under the moon, right? I'm gonna say it to my love from the bottom of my heart, right? I love you, shoo-shoo, right? It's from the bottom of the heart. So he invites us to say it from the bottom of the heart. What's that? What does that mean? It means that you have to really, really feel that. That needs to be true. So when you say something, say as you mean it, right? Or don't do it just to appease someone, or just to be, he's going to look at me as if I'm doing this prayer, and he's going to think that I really want this. But at the bottom of my heart, I really don't know if I want this or not. So he says, when you do it, when you're going through affliction, say it like this. And this is really tough. This is really tough. It's a very short prayer, but this is really tough. He says, Lord, cure me. That's how he starts. Lord, cure me. If I'm blind, cure my blindness. If I'm sick, cure my sickness. Whatever. Lord, cure me. But cause my sick soul to cure itself before you cure my body. Make my soul cure itself. Make me cure me first before you cure me. What? From the bottom of the heart, how easy is it? It's not easy. It is not easy. That's why, and here I'm going to do a parenthesis and quickly come back. That's why it's not easy to be a Christian. That's why it's not easy to follow the message of Jesus. And people think, and we think sometimes it's just, oh no, let's just go to the Spiritist Center. Let's take some passes. Let's drink some water. And everything is solved. No, it is not. Because we know how hard it is to do small stuff in our lives. I feel your pain, Dora, that you're talking to Adriana outside. I feel your pain because I went through this. It is hard to change a habit that we built for 40, 50 years. Now imagine to change something mentally or psychologically or spiritually that I've been doing for 300 years, for a lot of lives before that. How much effort do I need to make to change it here? It is hard. It is easier than we might think, but it is still hard. So when he says that, oh, because that's what we want the cure to come from the outside. That's why we ask, Lord, cure me. That's how he starts, because he knows that that's what we're going to do it. But then he says, but then when this but comes after, it's usually like it takes the floor out of you. No. But cause my sick soul to cure itself before you cure my body. And this is in some sense very similar to what to the prayer that Jesus taught us, right? It's be your will be done, not mine. Right? It's whatever. So if I am able to accept that, I'm going to live a much better life. And he says that later on too. If I'm able to live with what I have, instead of living off the past or living off what I can have in the future, if I can live here with whatever situation I'm going through, and I'm happy with it, and I'm living and striving with it, and trying to make amends and be a better person, but who can do that all the time? It's hard for us. So this, and then there's one more sentence in this prayer, which is even worse. He says, let my flesh, the meat of my flesh, let my flesh be chastised. You know, a whip? Let my flesh be chastised, if this be necessary. And he says, if it's necessary. That's what Jesus says at the end of his life, when he says, Lord, put away from me that chalice. Right? Afasta de mim esse cálice. Right? Let the chalice go away from me. It is as if he doesn't want to suffer. Yeah, of course. We don't want to suffer. And that's perfectly natural, and that's what we need to want. We need to want to not suffer. But we also need to be aware that there's no way that we go through this life without suffering. So we have to know both things are true. And when we know in the heart that both things are true, we have to learn to deal with both things and live well with both things. With this, that knowing that we will suffer and not wanting to suffer. The moment that we are able to merge these two things and accept and understand, accepting is not want to suffer. No, I don't want to suffer. But if I am to suffer, I will suffer. Which is completely different than, oh, I want to suffer, then I'm going to whip myself. No, that's what some people thought in the past. That, oh, if suffering is necessary, so let me suffer more so I can pay my debts or whatever. No, I'm just increasing because I'm damaging my body. So it's not, so he says, let my flesh be chastised if this be necessary. If it's necessary, because I don't want to. But if it's necessary, let it happen so that, and then he explains, so that my soul may rise up to your bosom. May rise up to your bosom so that you can embrace me. You can have me close to you with the same whiteness, with the same cleanliness it possessed when you created it, so that you can wash me, you can clean me, you can help me heal. But it's not by pushing it away, but by accepting it, accepting what happened. Once again, I don't want to suffer, period. That's why men created Tylenol, right? Advil, right? But I don't want to suffer. But how much Tylenol is too much? We know that there's a limit. We can't go beyond it. We will suffer more. So we have to know and be aware where the limit is. We have to accept some stuff. We have to balance things out. What Vianney, the cure Dars or the healer Dars from the city of Ars, wants to invite us to think is not to have our eyes closed, just, oh, let's close my eyes and then I'm blessed. I am because my eyes are closed. No, it's to think about how things happen in my life. What am I supposed to do with things that happen to me? How should I react to it? Where should I put my heart into it? These are just like brief reflections on some of the stuff he wrote here. There are much more. There is much more stuff here. This message, I'd say, it's at least to me, and of course, every person has their preferred messages in books or passages or whatever. This is one of my preferred messages in this book. I love the message about patience. I love this message here. There are a few others that I really like when Kardec talks. I love the introduction, but this message is it is to me as if, you know, you can stop and study this message in like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So much stuff it's packed in here. And this idea of closing our eyes and that he is evoking into us is, if you have your eyes closed for whatever reason, don't just want to have your eyes open out of the blue. If you really wanted, put some thought about it. Just think a little bit more about it. Don't just do it. Think a little more. Are you ready? Am I ready? What am I going to do with this, with that? Should I accept it a little more, or should I go a little more? It's like really to make us shake during these moments of suffering and saying how much is too much or how little is too little. Can you withstand it a little bit more? Why not wait a little bit more? No, now it's the time. If it's the time, it's the time. Then do it. There's no problem. It's our decision anyways. But it's that message of being free as a bird and prudent as a serpent. It's the message of balance. It's the message of thinking about it, of enjoying whatever we receive. If I wear glasses, I wear glasses. If I were born with this body, it's this body. If I were born like that or like this or like yesterday, my wife Shelly and I were watching. She follows apparently a person on YouTube, and the mother has an older son, and the son is going to turn 40 years old soon, this year or next year. And he is an autistic person. And imagine 40 years living with an autistic person. He doesn't stop talking. He doesn't stop asking questions. Can you imagine? 40 years. And she was there, like, of course, that must be very tough for her. But she was there filming and talking to him and playing with him. And gosh, that's her life, right? My life is different. And I have stuff. Mariana has stuff. Nancy, right? Jeffrey, Fabiola, everybody each one of us have our own perks, our own small things, the quirks and these, and I'm not satisfied with this. Everybody, every single person in this planet Earth, and the ones who are discarnated have as well. nobody talks, right? She doesn't allow people to talk, so it's kind of hard. I mean, you yeah. I only talk here. So I, as I've been saying for the past, I don't know, few years, every time I come here to talk about one of these specific topics of the gospel according to Spiritism, I always say read the message, because I feel like I didn't do half of what I should have done, because these things there's so much more in each of these messages. This one specifically, I mean, it's dear to my heart, but read the message. I mean, read it again. If you don't know how to read or can't read in English, read it in Portuguese, but read and think about it, because there are some really, really good thoughts for our lives, for how to enjoy whatever we are living through, right? It's not to enjoy in the sense, once again, it's not to enjoy, oh, the suffering, oh, I'm suffering, oh, it's hurting, make it hurt even more. No, it's not to make it hurt even more. It's stop it. But if there's no way to stop right now, let's just take it and then learn with it, so that next time it doesn't happen. Or let's, it's something that it is hard when we are feeling. It is hard when we are feeling. But we can take a lesson out of it. So that's Vianney, Priest of Ours, chapter number 8, items 20 and 21. Once again, if you can read it, and you will take much more than what I said in these few minutes here. So with this, I just like to thank everyone that came here tonight. The ones that couldn't come, but they're watching now or are going to watch later. I hope they liked it and they can take something out of it. Make your comments. Give us your comments. So it's always interesting to know what people are thinking about what we are saying. Um, we have um, we have been we're still closed in general. We only have this physical meeting here. All the other meetings are. Oh no, there's one on Thursday nights, but it's a closed meeting with only what 4 people, 3 people, 4, and the other ones are being held either online or. This week we restart the study, but it's in Portuguese on Wednesdays, and usually it's been happening um, online as well. We don't come here, or if it comes, it's only me and everybody in their homes, and we gather together. On Saturdays, we're still we have the meetings online too, and it's been really good. I mean, lots of friends from Brazil, from here, coming and doing talks to us. This past weekend, we had Bira from Rio de Janeiro. He used to come here quite frequently, but it's been a while, and he was with us to talk about anxiety. It was a really nice night. This next week, this weekend, we're going to have this talk in Portuguese too about synchronicity. It will be really interesting. The law of cause and effect, coincidences in life. So it will be a very interesting talk, breaching or connecting science with religion and philosophy. Really, a very interesting talk. And we have other topics later on. If you go to our website, continuedeluis.net, we have the list of all the talks that we're going to have in January. February, it's already booked up as well. We have some friends from Brazil. We have some friends from New York. We have friends from New Jersey. So we already have everything lined up. So just join us at the same, like youtube.com/or Cantinho de Luz. You will find us and see all our topics. Because we're closed physically, we haven't been having our dinners on Saturday nights, which is a big part of what we do here to support and pay the rent and pay all the expenses. So for the past 2 weeks, and we hope that we will be able to keep it going for a little while. We've been Cristiani, which is here. Sheila's and Nancy is going to do something too, but everybody actually is helping because donations and so on. We're doing some cakes and some puddings and some brigadeiros and to personalized bottles. Nice. 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 Personalized bottles. Okay, we don't know how much is it yet.
I think she would say $10.
Okay, so it will be $10. We're going to have photos on Facebook too, so everybody will be able to see it. Nice. That's so why? Because we still live here in a material world. We need money to pay stuff, and that's as simple as that. So it's not 10% out of anything. Is whatever we want to donate, we want to give, we do. And if we don't have money, we do our time. We give our time, and that's it. And it's a community that's self-supported. So we thank everybody that wants to help, whatever they can do to help. It's always welcome. Let's with that, we're anything else? Yeah, well, the God at Home, or the Gospel at Home, we open a book, same time, at the same time, at the same place, with people that are in the house. We stop a little bit, we read a message, do a prayer, put some water if we want to, and so that we can invite the good spirits, invite Jesus to our house to bless even more our house. It's already blessed, but it also gives us a little bit of a mental discipline and to be in contact with the message as well, which is always good. And I guess that's it for tonight. Let's just do a brief prayer, and hopefully we will be back here next week. And on Saturday we will be online. So, with this deep gratitude for tonight's meeting, we would like to thank the good spirits that are here with us, enveloping us in their love, with their peace, so that we can take the message that was given to us by the Spirit of Vianney to the hands of the medium in Paris, teaching us how to see without seeing, how to hear without sometimes listening, so that we can learn from every single moment of our life. So thank you, dear friends, for allowing us to reflect upon this and to help us understand and feel that message within our hearts. May these blessings that we got here tonight follow us wherever we go, through our eyes, our voice, our actions. And may God always be with us, helping us to keep going. Because we know, as Jesus told us, that His kingdom is not of this world. So let's make this world be His kingdom with our love for everyone. Help us in this deed and be with us always. So be it. So I guess that's it. Thank you very much for coming. I hope seeing you soon again.
A Mariana aceitou o desafio. Você tem que dar o seu e-mail como ok?
No, she did.
Chega assinado, uma professora assinada.
Let me
Vai para outra
close
professora.
this here.
Conhece $600 milhões? Assim não vai dar nem para comprar um carro. Ele levou um susto lá na hora que eu levantei. Fala sentada, a gente fica corrida. Eu quero árvore. Você quer árvore livre em qual? Eu